Welcome to another start to another series of spotlights, and for this episode we have travelled to Hertfordshire and we're on a lake called the Pan. Now this particular lake is in Hertford, and I think this is called Pan Hanger Park, I believe. When I turned up, it took me a little while trying to find where this lake was, and I literally had some GPS coordinations guessing me to here. So I think what I'm trying to say is we're going to do things a little bit differently this year. Where we have previously with Spotlight gone to some well-known waters and showed you how we tackle those, well, this particular series we're going to mix it up a little bit and we're going to go to some of these less known waters, and I like to call them hidden gems, tucked away, out the way, less popular, low stock, but some banging fish in the depths of these lakes. So bit of a risk this time of year. We are in January, and this particular lake here it's about 4 acres. It is absolutely gin clear, and it's only got about 40 fish in here, but the angling pressure is really low. That's why we're here. Previously this time of year I would go to a high stocked water, but so does everyone else. Everyone else seems to cottoned on now and they do the same thing. So I'm thinking out the box a little bit now, and for this episode we're going to be fishing this lake, and then for future episodes through the series we're going to be going to other little places that aren't so well known. So that's the plan, and hopefully we're going to get a few fish out of it, but it's going to be tough. So another good thing about a venue particularly like this, one that not many people know about, we've turned up, we've got one other angler, which is round the corner there. Now, as before, we fit in like everyone else, but what it does mean is when we turn up and you do your normal walk around, you're not under so much pressure to get round to find a swim. You can take your time a little bit. You can really have a look over the water and use your watercraft to try and find out and locate where these fish are. And on a venue like this in January, I think you need to use your watercraft more than ever. There's not a lot going on out there that I can see at the moment. We have got out in front of us, there is a shallow bar, and there's various up and down areas within this area just in front of me. Now I have got the depths and plummeted the depths out here, and I've got about 6 to 7 foot of water, but to my left hand side there's a really nice overhanging bush. Now this particular bush, or not just this particular bush, but any bush like this that's overhanging this much into the water, is a feature that carp love, and they really like that sort of feature this time of year. Continuing along that bank, we've got some really nice red cornice, which is overhanging again creating shelter. But you can see the sun over my shoulder there, and this part of the lake warms up probably quicker than anywhere else because it sees the most sunlight. The sun's going to continue round here, and I just feel, from experience, my gut feeling is telling me the fish are around this area here. I may be wrong, but I'm going to start here. Now I'm going to use my spoon, my bushwhacker, to gently get it in as close as I can, because the fish might not want to venture out from them snags too far. So the closer I can get that bait to that snag, the more chance I feel I'm going to pick a bite up. So that's where we're going to start. But if we do see things around the lake, obviously we're going to react on that, and we're going to move where we see the fish, if that is the case. But at the moment, that is as good a place as any to start, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Well, that sun has gone down quite quickly, and I've lost track of time a little bit, so it must be coming on to 4 o'clock now. It's dipped behind them trees, and nothing's happened yet, but I have learnt quite a few things, and I've stumbled across something by accident actually. So where I put the bait spoon out under my little area by the tree there, we put a GoPro on there just to see and get a bit of footage of the spoon tipping over and the maggots going down. But when we did that and looked back at the footage, it actually showed the bottom of the lake quite clear, and showed where my deposit of bait is, and yeah, it was very interesting. So that's given me an idea. We are, not now, but tomorrow, we've got various other like little areas around around the edge of the lake where fish could potentially be hiding up. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that GoPro on to the end of the spoon, a couple of sections of the bait pole, and just go around these margin edges and try and see if we can pick something up on the GoPro. Any information we can get on a new venue in a lake in January, with all the odds against us anyway, is going to be vital. So if we do pick something up, it can give us a little bit more information and maybe change things if we need to. So yeah, that's the plan. We're not going to do anything now. I've put quite a bit of bait out on that area every hour, another bit of spoon, but it's very, very, very fine particle with not a lot of big coarse bits of material in there other than my hook bait. So the idea is to create a layer of fragrance and flavours into the sediment at the bottom of the lake, just to draw the fish in, and then when they do come in there, one of the bigger pieces that is there is going to be my hook bait, and fingers crossed they pick it up. So let's see what happens there, and then later on, well not later on, tomorrow, we're going to do a bit of investigating around the lake. A disturbed night's sleep last night, and that was because my blue rod, which is the one underneath that snag over there, I was getting a lot of liners. It was a couple of beeps and then it would hold and then it would drop back down again. Now I'm fishing quite slack lines with heavy leads, and yeah, I don't think there's anything going to be able to do that to that indicator unless it's something on the rig end. But I know there's crays in here, so I've seen the cray carcasses around the outside of that bank over there. I did have a quick look in the margins along this bank here last night with the torch, and I couldn't see any crays in the margin. Normally you can. So I'm going to bring these rods in a minute just to check, because they've been out there for a long time now, and I want to have a look to see whether they have been eaten or twisted or had a go at with crayfish. At least then, if the answer is no, the likelihood there's been fish in here. So then the next thing I need to work out is why haven't they picked my bait up? And this is what I do all the time. It's a constant thought process. If something's not working and I know that the fish have visited the site, I now need to think, well, why haven't they taken the bait? So we're going to start this thought process now. We're going to bring these in, have a look to work out and find out what's going on. Also, a lake like this, I'm finding very much a challenge, and I love a challenge. Low stock, I'd rather have one fish out of here than go to a high stock water and have a few fish. But that's just me personally. The challenge of trying to get one out of here is what's drawing me at the moment. So, and we will go round later with a pole and have a look around the margins. Locating these fish is key when you're on the water like this. So let's have a look. So there's something on the end of that. Now, is that a twig? It's a lot of... Right, that's my rod just made a few beeps in open water. So, going back to what I'm presenting out there, I may have pulled into that when I was retrieving. I think I probably was, but you can see on here there is some crayfish nips out of the bait. So there are crays in here, but more importantly, they haven't completely destroyed my rig. So I'm quite confident that actually landed on the bottom. There's still going to be something there for a carp to stumble across, but it does answer the question a little bit why I was getting so many knocks. Them crays just keep tugging that bait. Now if that one's like that, the likelihood the other ones are going to be very similar, well particularly the middle rod, because that's out there as well. So I'll bring them both in, have a look, and we're going to need to reset these, but before I put these back out I am going to go have a wander. mentioned yesterday the thing was going to do the GoPro, so it's all set up, ready to go. Let's go see if we can find something. Right, so I've got 36% on this camera, so I need to conserve battery life a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lower this into that water down there and have a look underneath all these snags and these overhangs. And because of the water clarity, you could probably be able to see quite a lot underwater here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a little bit of a scour underneath and just move it around and just pan along. See if we can see anything. Now I can see the screen actually, and I'm surprised how clear that is and the clarity and how far that camera's picking up. So I don't necessarily need to be on top of potential fish to see them.
It's cheating?
No, I'd say it's an edge. It's definitely an edge, because it's just taking that light that's reflecting off of the water, which you can't see, which your Polaroids take the glare off of. I'm taking that all out of the equation now, and I can see a lot. And what I can conclude is there's no fish down there. I can actually see the camera. We've now done a few laps this morning with the lake, and we took the GoPro round just to see if we could find something, and we didn't find anything at all. What we did find was some areas in the margins that had been visited by fish. When, I don't know, but this is the mystery about this sort of venue. 40 fish in this lake this size, they could be absolutely anywhere, and they're so elusive this time of year, particularly if they're just sitting on the bottom somewhere and they move out at certain times just to have a little bit of a feed, and then they go back to a warmer part of the lake again, and that's something that can take time. We haven't got massive amounts of time on our hands for this particular trip, but we've got a little bit of time left. We're not even halfway through at the moment, so the more we can do to work out, you know, what we have here with this lake, the better. And if we do return at a later date to have another go on here at a different time of the year, we've gathered all that information from a time of year that actually the water clarity is very, very clear, the fish are less active, so they're not actually stirring it up. So you can see a lot on the lake bed, that's what I'm trying to say. I've redone the rods back out there now. I do feel that I did have a bit of cray activity on one of the rods last night, but I'm going to stick to this point. The sun's coming down now, it's beating into this corner here. Again, I feel it's going to be a warmer area of the lake. 1 degree warmer in an area of lake, carp will find it. So I'm going to stick to my guns here for the time being. I couldn't see whether much of the bait had been taken on my baited area, but I think a little bit had been touched. So yeah, we're going to stick with it. We're not going to change anything at the moment. I have seen fish up here, I'm going by that. I haven't seen anything since then, mind you, but I just can't see the point in moving at the moment unless there's something really, really obvious. So that's my little update for the moment, and yeah, let's see what happens. Massive difference today compared to the last couple of days, and that temperature's really, really dropped now. All the water, it did rain a little bit last night, and all that water's beaded up on my bivvy, and yeah, I didn't actually realise how cold it was until I actually come out my bivvy. But nothing's happened, and I'm not sure they're here. they're held up somewhere along the lake, well, around the lake, and I'm sure I heard last night a couple of Bosches over that far end. So I'm going to make the plunge here, and I'm going to pack up, and I'm going to move down there for my last 24 hours, and yeah, ditch what I was doing before. I'm not going to use the bait pole now because I don't know anything about that end of the lake. I've done a lot of feature finding around here, but not so much over there, other than there's a nice overhanging sort of like bush line down that bottom there. So it might be solid bags, some well placed solid bags along that edge there. If I do drop on some fish that are holding up, that might be the matter of catching a fish or not, just literally putting a bait on top of them without knowing that they're there really. But you've always got the chance that they can come across your bait anyway if they're moving around as well. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a bit of a pack up, move my stuff around there, get my rods out, and then cook a bit of breakfast. That was a mission, but we're finally in our next swim, which is up the other end of the lake, and it's quite uncanny really, because we've moved and now the other guy's moving up this end. So I'm going to spread the rods around a little bit because there's just going to be too much line pressure again up this, which is why I moved in the first place. I wanted to avoid because he was up that end, and he seems to be following us. But there we go. It's a lovely venue here. It's in the middle of a country park. There's streams, there's all sorts of bits and pieces going on here. The wildlife, I've not seen so much wildlife for a long time. And one of the reasons why I wanted to come on here, I know it's January, but the fish that we know that are in this lake and the photographs that we've seen of the fish in this lake, it's definitely worth giving it a punt, even in January. But if it doesn't work out the way that we want it, I'm definitely going to be coming back here because it's beautiful and there's no one here. You've got a footpath that runs across the back. You have the odd person, dog walker, just poke their head over, but apart from that, there's not a lot going on other than nature. So this is right up my street, and hopefully we've still got a bit of time left to bag a fish. Change tactics. I'm now fishing tiny little PVA bags, just tipped on the end of my hook baits, and I'm firing them out there into different locations, but I'm spreading my options now. I'm not keeping it to one area. The fish obviously aren't moving around that much, so I'm just hoping I can drop one of those rigs on top of some of these fish that are hiding in here. That's the plan, and it's a tactic that's worked for me many times before. But if I do see one of them bags going straight on its head, that could be a winner. Where has the day gone? It seems like 5 minutes ago that we moved over this morning from that side of the lake, and there is a dramatic change in temperature over here. The sun is still beating into that corner at the moment, but yeah, over here the sun's disappeared behind the tree and it's really cold. But there we go. I found a few areas out in front of me here, so this is very much the last chance saloon, where we're gonna get the rigs out there ready and just leave them there till we go now. I'm going to get some maggot back over the top, a little bit of pellet, and I'm going to put this tiny little PVA bag over the top of it as well. So hopefully that's enough to bring on a bite. I don't think they're in the margins. I've seen nothing in the margins, and the bait that I have put out, it just doesn't seem to be touched. And what has been touched is very minimal, so I think it's probably just crayfish. So yeah, we're going to hit the centre of the lake. In times like this, and particularly in the winter, carp do go to the centre of the lake, and the sun is beaming down into that centre, so maybe that's where they are. So that's exactly where that's going to go. Well, that's it. Gonna have to reel in early. The lake's now got a lid on it. I've caught fish under the ice before, but I just don't think it's gonna happen today. I'm gonna have to break the lines out as well. Oh shit. No. Watch your head. I've got to get that lead out of that ice. There you go. Hey! So that's it. I had no other option other than to bring these rods in, and yeah, that's what happens when you're fishing in the middle of winter. We started off this session where there was, you know, reasonable temperatures, and then in a matter of 48 hours they just dropped. We couldn't find the fish, unfortunately, so we had to move around quite a bit and hope that we put a lead or a rig on them or in front of them, and I don't think we did. It may be that they're just sitting there on the bottom in that silt, just sitting there wandling about, and they're not up for feeding at the moment. But I like winter carp fishing. It's something that not many people do, and I'm probably a very small majority of people that do it still. But yeah, it could have been so much different, and we have caught fish before on camera in January, and yeah, it's something I'm not going to stop doing because I enjoy doing it. And when you're in a place like this, it's about what you've got around you as well, and it's not always about catching fish, it's about being out here. So that's it. That's an end to the first spotlights of season 4 or series 4, and hopefully next time we'll get a few fish on the bank for you.